Alright, so we're here and we're just going to quickly look at how to take a sky and make it more blue. Um, as a quick navigation in Lightroom, you have up here at the top Library, Develop, Map, Book, Slideshow, Print, and Web. You want to make sure you're in the Develop module. You can also hit the D key on your keyboard and we'll get you there. So when you get to Develop, um, over on the right hand side you have your content. And if we go on ahead and wait for my computer to stop thinking, oh goodness, there's a bunch of basic stuff over here. I just clicked black and white over on the right. But if you see, I can actually close out all of these tabs on the right hand side, and this is all the power of Lightroom right here. So in basic, you can just take your exposure, you can make it darker, you can make it brighter. Quick little tip, if you want to get back to the middle, you can just double click the word and it'll reset it to 0. Or in the case of temperature, it'll put it back to where it was originally. So the sky is blue, but I'd like to make it more blue. There's a couple really easy, quick ways to do this. The first is this color temperature bar up here. If I slide it to the left, it brings out the blue in the sky. Of course, then the rest of the image gets blue, so might not want to do it that way if you don't want the rest of the image blue. The second is down here with vibrance and saturation. You can increase the vibrance, which kind of does it for the image overall. But again, the sky's blue, but the grass just got a little too green, so I don't really like that. Saturation does the same thing, but again, we're working on the whole image here. So one quick way to use this and just apply it to part of the image is to go up here, up to the right, and click your gradient button. And when you click your gradient, what you want to do is you want to click on your image to say I want to start it here, and then you drag it in the direction that you want it to flow. So I can drag this down, I can drag this to the right, drag this to the left, or come back straight up. In this case, we're going to come kind of down here, almost through to the middle of the image. So there's 3 lines here, and you'll notice when you hover over it, different things happen. So this hand, you can grab your top or bottom line and you can shrink or grow your gradient. With the middle one, you can actually rotate it, and then by grabbing it in the middle, you can move it up and down. So to point out what those 3 lines kind of do, anything beyond this top line will be in full effect. From the top line to the middle line, it will fade the effect. And then from the middle line to that next line, it will still have some impact, but anything past that bottom line, it's not at all. So basically, your gradient is between those 2 outer lines. But you'll notice if I put that gradient in here, now I'm just I'm just editing this area in between the lines and above that line. So if I start to move my temperature slider back and forth, now I'm just making the sky blue and I'm leaving the rest of the image as it is. You can also lower your contrast or lower your exposure a little bit, which will make the whole sky darker. So you might not want to make it too much darker. You can also increase contrast, which typically makes the top part of the sky darker and the bottom part that leaves a little bit brighter. Clarity down here is another one that can help bring vividness in and bring it out. And this dehaze slider, if your skies are hazy or there's smoke in the air or it's a foggy morning, dehaze kind of takes that haze out. On a clear day, it really kind of just inks everything up. And again, there's the saturation. So if I bring the temperature back to a neutral color, I can just super saturate that. One more fun little tip in the gradient box is this white box with an X. If you click that, you can actually put a color overlay, for instance orange, in that gradient, and you can make it a more saturated orange, a less saturated orange. Go to greens, or again blues, blues and purples, to bring in maybe a moody feel. But really the gradient tool is going to be the best way to really just select the sky. When you're done with this, you can hit close and it'll stay right where it is. To get back into it, just click the gradient button and go select the gradient you want. If you don't like it, press your delete key and poof, it goes away. One other way that you can mess with the sky is in this HSL color B&W. So if you expand this, you'll see you can have hue, saturation, luminance, or all of them. I like to have all of them up just because I have the desktop space and it shows me what everything looks like. And you can start to go into specific colors and saturate them. So I could take just the blues and increase the blues. I could take just the greens and increase the greens. Tricky pro tip here, the grass almost always falls more under yellow than it does green. Not quite sure why, but it always seems to happen that way. So let's say I want to take the grass out completely and we just want to super saturate the sky for kind of a monochromatic effect. You can just ramp that blue all the way up. Another way you can do this is you can actually come down to luminance. And as you take the brightness, luminance is brightness. So if I push it all the way up, it makes everything that's blue much brighter. If I pull it all the way down, it makes it much darker. So this is kind of a fun way to saturate the sky and also kind of bring the color back in it. So I would never really use the gradient and the saturation HSL sliders. I would use one or the other. Kind of depends on what effect I want to achieve, but a combination of saturation and luminance can provide a really cool effect.